Thank you for being here with us today, Prabhuji. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you
Um,
for doing
yeah,
this.
and for allowing me to do it with you. So, um, let's start out by just talking about what sort of is this podcast aimed at. You know, everything we do in life hopefully has some kind of intention
Goal.
behind it, a goal. So, what do you see as the goal of this podcast?
So first of all, welcome all the audience. For us, we have this Krishna House,
Mhm.
and we want to share this message of bhakti, this message of selfless service for inner development, inner fulfillment of audience of mainly Western Michigan.
Very nice. So, like you said, we are just to go over that a little bit. We're at Krishna House. It's
Yeah.
a temple
Yeah.
in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a good opportunity to try to reach out to people,
Yeah.
right, in our community.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about bhakti? You said bhakti. The word you use that word. What is bhakti?
Bhakti means selfless service. Selfless service to divine and to all living entities. Because every living entity is connected to divine. So they are integral. It's something that gives peace and fulfillment. It's something that is natural to us. Because when we do something that we are made for, we connect easily. And this is who we actually are. It's just going back to our original roots. And when we connect, we see the difference.
Can we talk a little bit about how you got to this point? How you got to Grand Rapids? How you got to this point in your life? I don't know. Maybe we don't have to go too far into like your past, but just maybe to give people an idea.
About
I feel like I've never really heard you talk that much about like, okay, you went to college, for example, right? You came to America for college. So just a little bit about that, if we could.
2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Past.
Okay. So you are from where?
I'm originally from India.
What part of India?
North India.
North India.
Mainly Delhi.
Okay.
Delhi region.
Yeah.
Then did my undergrad in electronics. Worked as electronics developer for 3 years.
Electronics developer.
Yeah.
Where did you do your undergrad?
In there is a college. It's called National Institute of Technology in Allahabad.
NIT.
Yes.
NIT.
NIT.
Very
yes.
prestigious university, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
And then did my after work. I had a deep passion that time for robotics. So when I was in college, I would go to different universities making some robots and winning some prizes. Just that was my passion: electronics development, communication.
What kind of robots? Like what is something that you would program a robot to do?
Yeah, we will get these different universities. They will release the task.
Yeah.
The robot should be able to go over the water, pick up these things, follow a line, and they will give a task. And we just have to, whatever we are asked to do, we have to make a system that performs that. So it has software, it has hardware, it has mechanical. So it's a combined of these 3 streams.
Sure.
So that was my passion. So I thought I want to take it to next level. So I looked for all the universities that offer good courses on artificial intelligence, robotics. So I applied for a few, and then finally came to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. Then did my master's in robotics, autonomous vehicles, artificial intelligence. And then joined Gentex Corporation in Holland. as a vision developer. So programming the cameras to do, just take some videos and process it and get some information, and those kind of things. And then I was introduced to the path of bhakti when I was in India. Then it's slowly growing. When I was here, I used to meet bhakti yogis, and I would feel a lot of warmth and inner joy serving with them. And simultaneously, I would go and do my computer vision and do my studies and give my exams, and simultaneously associate with these yogis, bhakti yogis. And when I was working in Holland, Michigan, I would drive 2.5 hours to Farmington area.
Farmington Hills.
Farmington Hills.
East side of Michigan.
Yeah. Go Friday, come back Monday morning directly at work. Just land there and then do my job, and then I would long and wait when I would be with those personalities, those bhakti yogis again.
So it was becoming a more and more important part of your life as you continued to practice.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're saying you just I don't know, you almost you started wanting to spend time with them more. Can I ask just Prabhuji real quick, when you said that you were first introduced, to bhakti in India?
Yes.
About how old were you?
Okay, so I was introduced when I was in college. How old I don't remember.
Sure.
I went to college in 2003 to 2007 for undergrad.
Gotcha. Yeah, college age, you're 18, 20.
Yeah, around.
Yeah.
Well, I think before that.
Okay, a little before that.
Yeah. But then I took up more interest when I was working with the association of, my brother helped me, introduced me. Then I used to go to a temple that time in Noida, which is near Delhi, and in Vrindavan, which is Krishna's birthplace. So I used to visit and adopted some practices, gave me some inner fulfillment, some good experience. And I have done so many things in my life, but when I started practicing bhakti, then I felt like this is something I was always looking for. You have tried so many things that people are trying. And then when you try something and you can compare all the things that you have tried, this is something way more deeper and fulfilling. So when I see everyone doing many, many things, I know that, I have already experienced this. I know this because I've gone through various phases. And this, I feel like there is nothing compared to this. There is a book called Bhagavad Gita. It's a bhakti book. There, Lord Krishna, who is the author, he says, Ya labdha chapare labham mannetam nadikam tataha. So, what that means is, having attained this, a living entity, a person feels there is no higher gain than this.
What is this?
This
I think
is,
we want to know what this is.
Yeah. Well, this is just our connection.
Our connection.
This is
yoga means connection.
Yoga means connection. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just like it's an inward journey.
Yeah.
And it's a long path. It's just most of the time we are not aware there is a path inward. And we are traversing an outward path.
Yeah.
And when we start walking in that direction, it's a whole universe.
Yeah. It's very easy to get caught up in, like you say, the external world, I guess. External world just kind of being everything that's going on around us. It's like our job, our friends, our family, just sort of like everything that we do day to day, emotions going on. Sure. So emotions are even external versus internal, you would say.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it's so easy to get caught up in all of those things.
And that's where we were.
We're sort of always in that. I'm interested. I think, just in one thing you mentioned is that you started getting more into bhakti as you were working more. So it's kind of like you were doing this thing that you had a passion for. It's like, this is what I want to do, this is what I studied, this is what I kind of dreamed about. And then as you do that more, you sort of go more and more into this other world, that's sort of capturing your attention.
Yeah, I mean,
more.
I feel like I came to US for this, for Bhakti Yoga. But that time my intention, I was not aware what my purpose was. I came that time only out of passion to become like a great robotics developer and feel like my inner calling. Then I realized what my inner calling actually was. Sometimes our plans are revealed to us over time.
Yeah.
And I was going through that journey. Then this journey, that was my external journey. This inward journey started becoming more important to me. And I mean, this decision doesn't come in a day. Sometimes people ask, what made you become a monk? It takes years. It's a life decision.
Yeah. I got a small taste of that. As sort of being like a monk in training, I guess, for a little while, like living here. I lived here at Krishna House for about 10 months, this past year, and really kind of did a deep dive into bhakti practice, learned more, about what yoga really is, Let's just keep going a little bit. We'll get to Grand Rapids, where we are right now. So you started practicing bhakti, became a bigger and bigger part of your life as you went along. You're still working though.
Yes.
And sort of where you left off in the story is like, you're going to Farmington Hills. There's a temple there. You're making friends there. You were sort of deepening an inner practice, learning what that means, what it is to have an inner, a spiritual practice. So what happened after that?
Yeah, so when I was working, I would feel separation to go and meet with the other friends who were having similar spiritual interest. And when I was with them, I didn't feel like going back. I feel like staying there and just be with them. Because it's so fulfilling, because that is something I was doing not really for myself. It's like assisting somebody, selfless service, and simple life. And that gave me so much joy. And then when I was working for myself, I was way more satisfied when I was trying to give my life for others. Like doing something to assist and for a much higher purpose. Those who are senior bhakti yogis, I was just very happy serving under their guidance, getting trained, assisting them. And I feel like this is like my home. And any free time I would go out and share what I was receiving with others. And that sharing gave me, like there is a saying, in sharing we receive. And slowly I was getting more clarity in life. What is life all about and what I want to do. And it took me 3 years to make a decision. And then finally I decided, if this is what I want to do and this is what gives me satisfaction, then why can't I do this in my life? What's stopping me? And then gradually made a decision. All right. I mean, it's not an easy decision. There are a lot of fears. There are a lot of anxieties about future. But then there is dependence on divine. If he wants this to happen, everything will flow. And then finally it's a choice. I made a decision. I joined the temple in Farmington Hills. And I don't know how 9 years passed by. Just serving and sharing, traveling. Life became very busy.
Very busy.
Very busy. It's like previously I had a lot of free time. And now, I mean, one way to say is to make life busy or not is a choice. And if we have a desire in a positive direction, just the nature arranges that we are healthily engaged.
Healthfully engaged?
Yes, like in a healthy engagement.
Yeah.
Like positively engaged.
Mm.
And yeah,
So before, when you were working, you had more free time.
I had more free time,
After you become a monk, you have less free time.
less free time.
But you also say it's a simple life.
It's a simple life.
Yeah. Can you talk just like a little bit about what's the daily life like? You know, I mean, you get up very early in the morning. You can start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you want to go through those details.
Well, just like, you know, there's a program you go through in the morning, right?
Yes.
And you have a certain schedule. So
Yes.
like, you know, maybe what I'm really just trying to get at is like the services that you're talking about, you're performing, you're serving other people, you're doing things for other people. What are some of those things, you know? But it's also a very simple life. So it's not like you're not making you're not like
Yeah.
making software for people or anything like that. What are you doing for people?
Well, what everyone is really looking for is inner fulfillment. Everything people do is for that joy. People are working for pleasure. People are having relationship for pleasure, making friends for pleasure, going on hitchhiking, trekking for finding happiness. Yes.
Mhm.
Going to beaches, changing jobs, moving to different states, going to different countries to visit. Everyone is hungry for that. What is within, they're just trying to find it outside.
Mm.
And what I find maximum inner fulfillment is by sharing that journey with those who are seekers to look inwards. And when they actually, with little, let's call it faith, when they start exploring that inner path, and when they feel transformed, and when they come and share that how anger is not coming, how there is positive development in their life, and how they're feeling inner joy and they're becoming more happy, seeing that is a source of our joy. Like then we feel like we could do something. And as far as our personal needs are concerned, they are bare minimum, they are easily taken care. When we serve the society, society takes care of us. And when our needs are bare minimum, then like all we need in life is actually few pieces of bread and some vegetable, which is not very hard to acquire. So when we are actually serving, we are naturally, the divine, the nature makes such arrangement that there is no scarcity for us. If we don't think about others, if we don't think about ourselves, we are taken care of naturally.
If we don't think about ourselves, we're taken care of naturally.
So we don't have to worry.
When you left for the temple, was there any concern from like your parents or anybody in your life saying like, what are you going to do? Like asking those questions. How are you going to be taken care of? How are you going to live and eat? And what does your future look like? And, you know, were people saying those things to you?
Yeah, especially parents from India, very strong relationship, very strong attachment. So it was there. They were very concerned. My dear child, we send you to such prestigious university with such huge loans, such a wonderful job, and now there will be a gap in your career. Who will hire again? What if it doesn't work out? What if where you're getting your support they don't support? What about your future? So there were anxieties, there were fears, but sometimes we have to cross our fears for a higher purpose. Because if we are not willing to take some steps, it's difficult to do in life what you really want to do. Because then we just caught up in a dogma. This is what life is and I have to be like a robot like this. So when you take some steps, naturally it is said everyone should be willing to take some risks for a higher cause. And it always taken care. Because when there is some divine, We call him Krishna in our tradition. When he's in control and when we are doing things for his service, he naturally takes care.
Mm. And you've seen that play out in your own life.
Yes, I mean, Krishna's mercy, Krishna has given everything. There is no scarcity of anything.
Mm.
It's just our only sorrow is we are not able to do enough.
Mm.
We are not able to do much.
Mm.
And that's why we pray, how can we serve you more? How can we please you more?
Seems like a very high goal. At least to me it does. I'll speak, just speaking for myself. Because there are a lot of sorrows in life. I think especially people who are listening to this, who are watching this, I mean, you might say like we're in that external world a lot, like we're just kind of waking up and going, and we're going to see people, we're going to our job, we're looking forward to going out, having fun with people, whatever it is. And, I mean, life is difficult, right? It's like, I mean, sort of life is kind of based around how are you going to have a roof over your head? How are you going to feed yourself? What do people think of me? Like, what's my position in society? What's my position at work? Am I moving up a particular scale, a particular ladder, whether it's professionally, socially? And that's kind of like what life is filled with for a lot of people, right? That's sort of what it is. So it's interesting, to hear you say that. Like, your only joy is that is helping others, and your only sorrow is that you can't help people
not
enough.
Able to do sufficient.
Not able to do enough. Yeah.
And this podcast is an endeavor.
Yeah.
Is we want to serve more.
Yeah. You can tell probably that I'm not a very experienced bhakti yogi. I really am not one. I think the more I learn about it, the more I'm around people like yourself and other devotees who come here, and the more, I attend programs and things, I just sort of realize more about how I'm like not there, but I mean, I can say just, I can only speak from my own experience, but, like the more I'm around that, the more I kind of realize things like that, the more that I enjoy being around people like that,
Well, one thing I want to say to the audience, that he's a very bright moon of Krishna House. Bright.
Very sweet.
He is one of my closest friend. He is somebody I dearly love.
Wow, Prabhuji, that's sweet. You kind of left me speechless a little bit. Well, I'll say something about, what I see as a purpose of this podcast, or something I think,
please.
Service that I hope we kind of get out of it, that we, maybe are able to provide. I've gotten a lot from, I've received a lot, from being around this place, this temple here in Grand Rapids. I lived here for a while. Things just kind of aligned in my life where it was
the time.
It was the time.
Take that break.
It was like, if I'm going to do something like this, especially, like, I've got to do it at this time. And, the more that I've been around people at this temple, the more I want to give to them. Like, people, you come here and like people just give to you very openly. People are very sweet. Somebody's handing you food. Yes. Somebody, everybody's like extremely kind, extremely welcoming. One of the things that we do here is we do a practice called kirtan, which is a group singing, like a group meditation that's in the form of song, I guess you might say. And when you do that, it's an experience that really brings you closer to other people. It's an experience that maybe for a lot of people would be kind of like embarrassing, maybe a little scary. just like singing in front of a group of people, this mantra, and everyone is sort of like, everyone just kind of does their own thing. Some people have their eyes closed. Some people want to stand up and clap and dance around. Some people want to be still. And the more I've been around that kind of an atmosphere, it brings more of a sense of peace. I think one of the first things I told you at Krishna House when I first came here was like, I just want to find peace.
I remember.
I had heard like bhakti is like about like really joyful, like, bhakti's experience, these like ecstatic emotions, and they're so happy and they dance around and things, it's sort of the things that I had heard. And my thought was, I don't know if I necessarily want that. I feel like I'm just kind of looking for peace. At this point, I might say like what I've kind of been looking for is like a cessation of the suffering that I was experiencing.
Yes.
Like a cessation of, I just kind of want bad things to go away.
Yes.
That's maybe a much bigger topic pertaining to bhakti, and how, there's sort of like, there's the getting rid of negative side of things, but then there's also adding the positive side of things as well. That sort of maybe makes it a unique spiritual practice. So yeah, I hope that with this podcast, really it's just about like sharing our own experiences, and, like through that, just sort of being, not really getting in the way of the message that we're trying to share with people. Right.
Yes.
And, just welcoming anybody else who wants to know more and, wants to come visit, or who wants to, get to know us a little more.
And we'll also would love to take questions, topics that the audience want us to engage in, and just discuss around that.
Yeah. How did you come to Grand Rapids?
Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Well, the journey began when I was working here. Then I met few sincere seekers, and I would meet with them. We would discuss about bhakti. They became more interested. They became practicing. Then when I moved to Farmington Hills, then I would come once in a week to be with them, because we already sowed some seeds here. So that continues. And then many people came, they learned, many left Grand Rapids, and there was a moving crowd who would come and go. There were a certain group of practitioner bhakti yogis who were out here, who were working here. It's very difficult for them to go somewhere else. And they have a desire to have a center here together, the whole community, something that we can deepen our own journey, expand our own growth while sharing with others. And then there is a whole journey of what we should do, what kind of building we should purchase, what will be the purpose of that, whom are we targeting, where the funds will come from. And there is a whole journey that went for, the desire was there for years to have some center here where people can come and feel like home and learn about bhakti and stay here, and everything we do be part of our life, get an experience. And then it took us almost over a year for the whole logistics. And long story short, we purchased this building in February 14th. We signed the contract 2022. So we're almost 2 years.
Yeah. Very close to the 2-year anniversary.
And then a lot of renovations. Now we have this beautiful Krishna House. We have men's ashram and ladies ashram. People can come and have an experience, live an experience. They are welcome to come for a day, 2 day, week, or they can stay longer. We are just here to give, to offer, give an experience. We have programs. Since then, I have been here. Now, previously, I would come to Grand Rapids once a week. Now, I go to Farmington Hills once a week to continue my services there.
So you still get to see all your
All my
friends, everybody you met
and-
there.
Yeah, just continuing my services there. I'm loving this journey. We really want to serve more. We are looking for ways to share this message to a global audience. And then this idea came.
Yeah. I think it's a natural, it's like an instinct that we all have, that we kind of know that we like giving things to people. Like
Yes.
we know we like serving.
Yes.
It's, I think we have something you said earlier, like we have a similar saying here about like giving is receiving, or like,
Yes.
yeah, when you give, you actually receive. And I guess in my own experience, my own view, it's like bhakti is sort of trying to put that expression into practice. It's really just trying to live those words.
Of giving.
Yeah, of giving. What if you really did just try to give? Like, what if you didn't focus on receiving,
Yes.
and you just sort of tried to give to other people? You just tried to do everything with that spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to say to the audience, we exist for you.
We exist for you.
For you. You will receive love, warmth, care, food.
Very good food.
Very good food. You learn cooking. You learn how to play instruments, and everything that we have to offer. Anybody and everyone who is interested to receive, we want to give. And before we end, I would like to let the whole audience know about your journey, because one thing that is common between us is we both went to the same college.
We did, yeah.
So something I want to know, what brought you to this point, what change you feel in a year before and now.
So you're talking about the change I feel from basically the time I moved into here to this point.
Contact with Bhakti, and you have been practicing for 1 year now. So what does it give it to you? And what brought you to that point? Something, anything you want to share with
Sure.
audience.
So I first did yoga in the form of asana, which I think is how a lot of people in the West, in America, first get into yoga and really think of that as what yoga is. It's doing the poses, it's going to a class. And so that's sort of like the box that we put yoga in. I think a lot of us, we just don't really know like anything else about it. So we go, well, that's what yoga is. So I started, but I really enjoyed like going to these classes. I think the first time I went, I had done it a little bit, but like the first time I went to a class was in 2019, I think. And I guess sort of on a separate track, I was always interested in philosophy. I wouldn't really have called myself like a religious person, but I like to read about religions. I like to read, old texts, and it was like an interest of mine. I think I first read Bhagavad Gita when I was about maybe 22. It was the first time I read it. So, after going to yoga class for a little while, I really, really liked it. And I could see like, okay, there's a lot more to this. It's not exercise really. It's not really what we're doing here, as we're going from one pose to another, and we're like focusing on our breath, and we're going through this process. Like something else is
It's an inner
happening
connection
here. Yeah. Interconnection. Something's happening inside.
inside. Yes.
And so, I started to read more books. There are a lot of yoga books out there. I just kind of started looking some up and heard of different things. So, there's a book called the Upanishads. Buy that book. What are those about? Different things like that. And so, I guess I was sort of on that. It sort of became a bigger and bigger part of my life over the next couple of years. I started to I really like going to these classes. I want to go to more. I started sitting to meditate every day. I wouldn't really call it meditation. I was sitting,
Silence.
yeah, sitting silently every morning. And that became like a big part of the routine of every day. So sort of, I don't know, that lifestyle started to appeal to me more. I learned things about letting go of attachments. What is an attachment? What is, this really expecting a result from what I'm doing, or really expecting things from other people to give me something, sort of like that reaching out to, not really reaching out, but more like trying to grab the people and the things around you for yourself, learning about, I guess, just being able to see that a little more clearly, okay, I'm actually doing these things a lot, these things happen a lot in life. And what if I just sort of try to let some of those things go? And so, it was, I had a very, 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 a really great teacher to start. My first yoga teacher, it was really inspirational to me. And then it's the next place I went, that yoga teacher was also very inspirational to me in a different way. But, I sort of started to see, there's people called yogis, and I don't know exactly what they do, what it's all about, but they seem to be some of the kindest, calmest, most nurturing people who had ever been around. And so I guess this is all after college, I should say. As you mentioned, I'll just quick time out in the story to say we did find out at some point. We were at the University of Michigan at the same time.
Same time.
And we in the same place on the North Campus, where the engineering school is, because I did that for a short amount of time. But all of this was after college. So I had gone from engineering initially to, I made a big switch to English and creative writing as a major, because I really have a desire to write. And so I guess, to bring it back to yoga practice, that's another thing that yoga has kind of helped me to see what is important to me in my life.
So you started yoga right after college?
4 years.
After college.
I guess I had done a little bit of asana, online classes and things like that before, but it was about 3.5 to 4 years after I graduated college that I sort of went to my first class.
And I think you had a very successful job. So was the yoga with the job, or it was?
It was not with the job, but it became a really important balance to the job.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a job where I worked for an entrepreneur who had a bunch of different small businesses, and he was just one of the most eager and excited people to help people. His goal was, I want to make businesses, I want to hire people, I want them to grow, I want to help teach people how to do those things, I want to give people the freedom, the opportunity, and the means, the environment to do all those things. And it was, I guess, it was very rewarding. It was very important to me. It was also very stressful. And so it was a big reason why yoga was such a good balance. It was sort of how do I deal with all of this? How do I do better for other people? Help me have some perspective on those things. And, as far as that job went, ultimately, I had to decide, is this what I'm going to do in my life? It was, eventually I think it reached that point where it was I work with a lot of other people as well. you know, a lot of people have these goals about what they want to do with this company or that company. And I mean, I was a part of that. So like what I was going to choose to do with my future was going to affect other people. And so I had to make a decision, you know, if I wanted to stay and continue to do that, or if I wanted to try to do something else. And so I was at that job for about 5 years before I decided to leave. And that was in June of 2022.
When you
When I left. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I first came to Krishna House in October of 2022. So another very inspirational yoga teacher of mine, whose name is Anil. And I first came to his class in Grand Rapids, just like, I don't know, I just kind of like looked at what looks like the most like the type of yoga I guess I had been doing in the past, and just signed up for Anil's class. And it was, it's like every yoga teacher I've had is like a continuation of the last one in some way, you know? And so like Anil's class was immediately just like this, such a nice atmosphere. Like it was very nurturing. It was very loving. I mean, I really felt that a lot in his class. But he's also very like, he's a tough yoga teacher, you know, which I really liked. I mean, you know, he's, I don't know, there's
And
like
he's here with us today.
He's here with us right now. He's looking away. He's like, no. But yeah, like it was just like, you know, it was like a very good physical and mental test, I guess I would say. And that's, yoga is itself a very good, I mean, it's a physical test in many different ways, you know, not just like exercise you do, but like fasting is maybe another example if you practice something like that. But you know, it's really like it was like the community feel of the class that really sort of struck me. Like everybody really loved this teacher and really like loved coming to this class every Thursday night. And it was like a group of 6 to 8 people or so that I kind of, you know, joined and, you know, just started going to that class. So, you know, several months later, Anil invited me to come here because he lives here. And so that's how I first came to Krishna House in, you know, October, I think Halloween, I think it was, of 2022. And so, yeah, like, I mean, I was in a part of my life, like I said, I had just left a job. And so I was not working. I had saved some money. I wanted to like spend some time not working, I guess. Not
just take a break and explore.
Yeah. And so it's sort of like everything aligned. I had to kind of get out of my old house right around that time, like when the beginning of December came. And it just sort of felt like everything was sort of, I don't know how you want to say, just like taking shape so that, you know, I can move into this place. Because I know that, you know, after coming here for a few weeks, you know, discovered like, well, that's an option. And, you know, I kind of decided to dive into like learning what it's like to live in a, I guess instead of thinking of yoga as this is a thing that I do, right? Even if it's something, it's important to me, it's a big part of my life, but it's like one of the aspects of my life. It's like I do this and I do this and I do yoga and I do this, you know. So I guess for me, like moving here was trying to make yoga the central thing. What if I do that, you know? And I was just learning about bhakti. I know as we go along with these podcasts, we'll talk a lot more about yoga and about bhakti and the different types of yoga. But I was just starting to learn about what is bhakti yoga, what is this type, what are these practices about? And so yeah, what is practicing bhakti yoga?
What has it done for you in the months that you lived here?
Yeah. So I feel like when I look back on it, I don't know. Yoga practice has this weird. It has it has a very interesting like tendency where like I think you look back on the past and sometimes it feels like I'm sort of like doing worse now than I was then. Or like I don't know. You know, there's. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Maybe a little
those
bit.
phases are there.
Okay. And so, you know, I've had those thoughts, you know, sometimes recently, like, you know, there's like, I look back at my time here in a different way, you know, because it was a very different type of life. And there were so many, like, there were a lot of highs and lows, but there were so many, like, just very sweet, nice moments, you know. And I think the mind has a tendency to forget all of the sweet, nice moments that happen sometimes and focus on like that thing that went wrong or that thing that we didn't like, or, you know, whatever kind of the negative aspect is. You know, I think psychology has, I think we're all aware at this point anyway that the mind focuses more on negative than on positive. And, you know, that 10 months that I spent living here, I followed the program. You know, I came to the morning program every morning, 6 a.m. You know, we chant on beads called a mala. You know, we do that every day. We go to different programs during the evening where we have conversations with people. Somebody gives a class. We do kirtan, you know, the singing. We cook food. You know, we went out and one of the things we did initially was we made cookies and tea every morning. And then we went out and like started just distributing them to people at local universities or on the sidewalk or whatever it was, trying to give people books. And I remember being really excited, like initially, you know. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place here, but it's just sort of how my mind is, I guess. I can remember like just really like I loved giving out cookies to people. I loved, you know, just like we made these, we like intentionally made this food, very simple. Other people helped to make the dough and other people, you know, it's like there's no credit to me in any of this. There's somebody else's recipe, somebody else's idea, but just the simple act of, you know, going out and trying to, it's like you have a nice little interaction with somebody. You know, you give them prasad, that's what we call sanctified food that is offered. And that's, you know, it's an important aspect of this practice, giving food. And, you know, we met a lot of people. We met somebody, for example, who is like a regular here, who's become a very dear friend of ours, through doing that. And as time has gone on, I look back on those things more. You know, while I was living here, I was going through a day-to-day experience. You know, it was highs and lows. You know, and there wasn't a lot of like reflection on how has this been different from the rest of my life, and how, you know, like what is really happening? What am I really getting? What's happening inside? You know, from this. So what's that?
What happened inside?
What happened inside?
Answer that question. What was happening?
What was happening? I was softening ever so slightly, and having a little more perspective on things. You know, one of the things we say that we hear is very important in any yoga practice is being around other people who are trying to do the same thing, people who have a similar goal, people who are trying to live by their ideals, you know, other people who are trying to go on a spiritual journey, whatever that means. And when you're around people like that, they just sort of, it's a little bit infectious. They just, their eagerness, their compassion, it's by their mercy they give it to you. Is how it works, and yeah, it's actually a hard question to answer.
It's a journey.
Yeah, because it's like, maybe it would be important to say I'm very, very new to this, so if you've been practicing for 12 years or so, I've been doing it for 1, and that's a lot less time. I'm still deep in what we would call the neophyte stage. So yeah, it's, I guess, maybe I am also having a little bit more perspective on how it is a journey. How, it's like, it's a long process, and maybe something that's more to what an American audience would could relate to is that, like, I've had many times where I thought, like, I really wanted to get something out of doing a particular practice, or I was really hoping that I would get this result, or that, like, maybe it would happen quickly, or I start thinking, I think the way things are going, give it another year, and I think I'll be, like, really happy and in a really good place, and I'll be, very advanced somehow or other. And this practice teaches you humility, one of the biggest things, above anything, and how, everything has to be earned in this life. It's like every little thing that you really get, that you really acquire, every good thing, you really have to earn it.
And that's when we have value for it. On this note, I remember one time, like, there's little story. I don't think it's a real story, but just something that has a value. So one time, God asked one man that, push this rock. He's like, okay, 1 week, take it on the top. He said, okay. And after 1 week, God came, and this person did not push a rock even an inch. So he said, God, I disappointed you. I could not move an inch. I tried my best. I really want to serve your command. So God said, then he said, I feel like my whole time was wasted. Then God said, look at your muscles. And because he was putting so much effort that 1 week, he really had a lot of strength. So God said, see, you were thinking nothing is moving, but see how much thing moved inside you. All the externally, nothing moved. We see these great yogis, they go to the forest alone, doing austerities, very hard. But then what they gain over a period of time is very rewarding. So as you said, nothing comes easy. And the thing is, this inward journey has many blocks. And those blocks are inward. They block the path. So to walk, those blocks needs to be removed. And that's not an easy thing to do. But once you remove, you see the path which was never visible, or which most cannot see, or most cannot traverse. And that's why it is not easy, but it is highly rewarding. Nothing in this life is easy. There is a saying, to purify a gold, first the gold is burnt. When the gold is burnt, it melts. The impurities comes on the surface. Then you take a sieve and remove the impurity. And now it is 24 carat. Now it has lot of value. But when it has the impurities, it's not of much value. So likewise, first we are going through this, a path of making our internals pure. And that is not easy
Mm.
because we are scared to deal with our own self, what's within us. But if we can just gradually, that's why it is patience and tolerance, very important. When we are tolerant and patient and let this journey itself work on us, this path work on us, then slowly things open up.
Mm. Thank you for that. Well, on that note, we will say so long until next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.